Is it me, or are these fins getting taller? I don't remember them being clear up here to almost my neck. Oh, wait, it could be because I got the car jacked up. Hey, hello, this is Bruce at Klepp's Garage, your host for today, and today we're going to work on my 1959 Chrysler Saratoga. And in the previous episodes, we'll put a link down. Well, I'll put a link on the channel, and then down here we'll show you which episodes they were. But anyhow, you saw us put a disc brake conversion on it, new leaf springs, rust repair, paint. Pretty much I got this all restored as a driver. However, I never really addressed the rear brakes on this car. And as luck would have it, I was moving it the other day to get another car out, and I pulled it out and let off the brake, and it just went, sorry. Anyhow, rear rubber brake hoses collapsed. They collapsed in the middle, and you got enough hydraulic pressure to push it out, but not back. Anyhow, long story short. So, in other words, to change the rubber brake hose, easy peasy, but then the lines going to the outside axles looked bad, so I thought I'd change them. Well, then I pulled the drums off, and of course the brake shoes was wore down to about nothing. So it's time to change the brake shoes. Well, if you're doing that, you might as well change the wheel cylinders. So I'm changing the wheel cylinders, and, well, the seals, and then, well, the bearings didn't look the greatest to me. So, in other words, I'm kind of sort of rebuilding the whole rear axle. So come along, and we'll see what's involved in this today. So the first thing on this project is to, of course, take the wheel off and then take the brake drum off. And to get these rear brake drums off, there's a nut and a washer that hold them on, but they're on a tapered shaft. In order to break that tapered shaft loose, easiest way to do it is get one of these old tools that bolts on the lug nuts, and then you put a piece of brass in here, or just use this. You tighten this down, and you have to hit it with the hammer until it breaks loose off this tapered shaft. Once you get it off the shaft, then you're down to the backing plate and the brake shoes. Now, I've already got this side tore apart. There's, well, that one's refurbished. There's the backing plate, and then there's this little crazy thing that goes on. And let me get this so you can see it. So this thing holds the brake shoes, and it goes on there like that. And on the back side is the actual brake adjusters. Now, you have to adjust these brakes every so often. They're not self-adjusting on the older cars. And so we're going to go over and I'll show you the other side. I'm putting it together. And then I'm going to show you how to get this bearing out of here. And yeah, and then put it back together. Won't this be fun? I guess to show you a parts list here today. So we got new brake shoes. We got new bearing, race, outer seal, new wheel cylinder, brake line, which is actually the same as the front brake line. They just put this thing on there that has the back brake line screw into. So this is the same as the front brake line, screws into this. This bolts down to the axle with a vent tube, is where that's at. And then you just hook your lines up to either side of this to go to either wheel. So this was the part that I was changing because it broke down. But needless to say, I had to change all this stuff. So here's the hub, and there's the new studs I've pushed in. You'll have to have an arbor press or a hydraulic press to get these out, unless you want to just beat the crap out of them, but I guess you could do it that way. And then press them back in. So there's all the parts we're using. Just to give you an idea, if you're interested, the only shoes they show for a Plymouth and a Chrysler is for a taxi cab, which is the same. It's the same brake shoe. So there's a part number for Raybestos. There's a part number for the wheel cylinders, the rear wheel cylinders. And there's the outer seal. And then there's the bearing and the race numbers. Boy, that's kind of hard to see that. You'll have to pause this. So anyhow, there's the parts we're dealing with. Now I'm going to show you how this funky brake thing is. Okay, so I'm going to show you how all this works. So this is your backing plate that goes on the rear axle. And I've already cleaned this stuff up, painted it. This is the new seal that goes in there. This actually faces this is the inside of the car. This would be the tire side out here. So this is one idea that Chrysler had that I would say was pretty cost-saving, time-savings thing. This would have been bolted on the axle. Then the shoes and the wheel cylinder are all put onto this plate here. And once this is on the axle, This is a unit, comes as a unit. All you did was just shove this thing right through there. So your two holes there are for the brake adjusters, and the big hole is for the wheel cylinder. So that went on there like that. So that was easy peasy to put this thing together, quick and easy. The only thing you had to do then, after the shoes was all on, is put the hold downs on each side. So I'm going to go ahead and try to attempt to put these shoes together so I can get it on, because I got the one side finished up, and well, it didn't look so good. So we're going to see if I can put these on. I might show you this, I might not. Depends on how much I have to use adult language to get this together, because it might be fun. I'm guessing it's going to be fun. Anyhow, then I'm going to show you one of Chrysler's not so good ideas that I'm going to improve on this car. So I put this spring on first. I'm going to shove this in here, and I went behind. And now I'm thinking all I got to do is just pull this out like this, and hopefully there it is, like that. There's one side. So that's what that looks like. This slides into there. This slides into there. Springs on. Once I get the other one on there, this whole unit goes on as a unit, which actually is a pretty good idea. But man, I've never seen springs quite this tight. I mean, this is really tight. Well, this is going to be the fun side, because I already got this one collapsed, and I'm going to be fighting the spring pressure on the wheel cylinder. Okay, it's in the vise. No, we may have to blast. Maybe a tire iron will work, or not. Can't get there. Oh, hey, no, that's an idea. Oh, there. That'll learn you, darn ya. Could it be that easy? Yes, it's just that easy. I wonder if I can get this off. Alright, so there is a completed brake drum assembly. So now we'll take you over and show you how this works. This just bolts right onto the car. And all we gotta do is put the holders in there and bolt it on, and voila, the trick, she is done. Alright, back again. So I got my assembled, I don't know what you call that thing, brake shoe assembly. So I already have the backing plate on here. So all I gotta do is just slide this thing right on. Oh, you know what I forgot? Yeah, I'm on camera. So, these brake shoes rest, well, right there, right there, right there, there, and there. So it's a good idea to put a little grease there. Not, you don't get carried away, just a little bit. So when the brake shoes are working and traveling, you don't hear this eek. Some of the cars you'll hear when I put the brakes on, you hear like eek. It's the brake shoe riding on this. So yeah, almost forgot that. Let me get some grease. It's around here somewhere. Okay, I got the Tubbo grease. Not there to last 2 lifetimes, probably. Okay. There you go. Alright, so I got the Tubbo grease. Just going to put a little bit here, and a little bit there, and a little bit here, and a little bit there. Isn't this fun? It's like paint by numbers, except there's no numbers here. That might be a hair bit much. A little bit more there. Okay. Now, you don't want to go get carried away with this grease because you don't want that getting on your shoes because that'll make your brakes want to lock up or squeal or both. You know, I had this in here about 3 times now. There, about like that. Could it be that easy, Mr. Obvious? Yes, it's just that easy. So we'll go ahead and put the retaining nuts back on there. And then the only thing I got left to do on this side is put the little spring clips back. I could clean them up. I couldn't get new ones. Those go back on there to hold the brake shoe on. On normal cars, that's the only thing that's holding them shoes on to the backing plate. This car's got a whole rigmarole here. So yeah, isn't that fun? I don't know what size those are. Look like 3/8, so it's probably a 9/16. And I grabbed the wrong socket because I can't see anymore. These numbers are too small. You know, they should make sockets with great big numbers, or you can see. Of course, usually us old guys know what size the socket is anyhow, but it's handy to be able to see that. All right, so this side's somewhat done. I'll get this buttoned up, get the brake line on, get the rubber hose back on, move over to the other side. But for now, I'm going to show you how to pull this axle out to get to the bearing, and I might show you how I took the bearing off. Okay. All right, so I'm going to show you how to get this axle out of here. So basically, there's a bearing and a race, and it's pushed into there. Now this is almost a pressed-in fit. So the way I do it, this is the original nut that holds the drum on. I usually, since this is a castellated nut, usually you put that on backwards. And I like to chase the threads with this because this will actually clean the threads and cut them and make it work a lot nicer. So, I have already done this. Anyhow, I've already chased them on there. I'm going to put it on the right way because I have a tool that goes on here. I'll show you how this works. Let me get this on there. I'll make sure this is all the way on flush. All right, so got that on now. You're thinking, now what are you going to use? Well, let me show you. I have what's known as a handy-dandy axle pulling tool. I don't even know what the name of this thing is. So, yeah, this is made by Fly-By-Night Industries, I think, but it should get the job done. So it's 3-jaw chuck. We're going to put that on there like that. Tighten up this ring, which is supposed to lock them jaws on there a little bit. Kind of hard to do one-handed, though. Then it's just a slide hammer. You don't want to get your fingers in there, but so anyhow, we're just going to do this for a little bit. About like that. Wasn't that easy peasy? You just don't want to get your fingers in there because that'd probably hurt. I think there's a joke about bricking the camel. Don't that hurt? Oh, only if you get your fingers in there. Okay, let's see. Oh, good, got that out. So here's the race, probably dirty, greasy. And I can take this axle nut back off. Notice no threads were damaged. I can take this off by hand. We'll put that over there. So now we got to get this bearing off of here, and it's a pressed-on fit. I'll show you how I do that. But here's the conundrum with this car. I'm going to get the camera off the tripod and zoom in and show you what I'm talking about. All right, so I got the axle pulled out, and what I want to show you is right in here. So this axle tube has an inner seal in there that seals up against this edge right here. And then it has an outer seal on that backing plate. Well, in the older cars, they used to do that, and they would actually grease this bearing, and this bearing would run in grease and not the axle oil. However, when they did that, there was always a grease somewhere back here on the axle tube to shove grease in here to grease this bearing. Otherwise, you got to tear this whole thing apart and grease it. So Chrysler, in their infinite wisdom, there's no grease zerks on this thing anywhere, and you can't see the bottom, but yeah, there's no grease zerks. I've got other cars that are like this and have a grease zerk here, and they have a hole down here, so when it's full of grease, it comes out that hole. So I've been known to modify things. And what I've already did to the other side, I'm going to do to this side. I'm going to pull this axle all the way out, and I'm going to take this seal out because, as you can see, there's already a puddle of oil right there. So the oil's getting past here anyhow, which is doing its job. However, it's not being able to return back and circulate around. So I'm going to take that seal out, rely on the outer seal only. I'm going to pack the new bearing in grease anyhow, and throw all this back together, and then it'll work like a modern car. And the reason why I'm doing this is that since there's no grease zerk, and I'm not drilling the axle, anybody that looks at this car is going to assume that right there's the fill. You fill that axle up, it gets oil out to here. So that's the way all modern cars work. They're not going to assume that you need to grease these bearings. On the older cars, like I said, there's actually grease zerks back here, and you need to rotate the tire and squirt the grease in there until it comes out the bottom hole. So I did that to their side. I'm going to do it to this side. I'll show you how I remove this bearing, and then I guess I'll put it back together. I won't bore you with all the details, but that's probably going to do it for this quick video on how to replace a rubber brake line, which I don't know if you can see it or not. It actually goes right over there. There's the new line coming from the master cylinder, and the rubber line will go from there down to the axle. So yeah, that's what I started this project with, and well, yeah, a week later I'm changing everything. Oh, won't this be fun? I forgot how I'd done this. I just done the other side. Oh yeah, I remember now. Of course, this is a cheap Chinese-made press, and notice that this one block's higher than this block, so I might have to do a little compensation here to make this work, but I think I can make it work. So basically, we're locking the bearing in. We're going to push down on the shaft. Could it be that easy? Yes. It's just that easy. Maybe. And this is probably something you might just want to take to a shop and let them do it, because this can be dangerous, I suppose. Like that. Yeah, I caught it. So there. Okay. Oh, the damn thing's off there. I'll leave it there like that. But like that. Hope you can see that. So that's where it was at. And there's actually a ridge that this runs up against. So when you go to put it on, you can't put it on too far. And there's where that inner seal was riding. You can see where it's shiny, and there's where the outer seal was riding. So we'll get the other new bearing to put on here. Oh, the fun part's putting this back on. So the last one I just used a hammer and a pipe that fit this race and gently tapped it on there. I'll probably spare you the details of that. Well, I guess I'll go ahead and grease this bearing because I know I don't really have to, but I'm going to put some grease on it, and then the rear axle oil can get there, and they can all intermingle. Not going to hurt anything. So I'll show you an old trick I learned off a friend of mine back in the day. I think started back in high school. Dale, thank you. He comments on this channel once in a while too, but we were both back, that's been a long time ago, back in high school, and he showed me this little trick on how to get the grease into the wheel bearing. So first of all, you just get a bunch of it, and you stick it on your other hand like that, and you take said bearing, and you would start here on this is I call the little side because it tapers that way. This is the big side. So basically we're just going to force grease into that slot and work its way up to there. Once it gets clear up to the top, you just keep going around. And what I do, or what I've watched him do a long time ago, and I've been doing it this way, I've also got a little machine they make to do this, which is somewhat faster if it works, but it seems like it takes more grease to do it with that little machine. And this way here, just you just stick the grease in there and force it up in there, basically, like thus. You probably can't see what I'm doing, but anyhow, so yeah, just about got that one. So basically, more in there. Okay. So basically, it's coming out right through there. So I'm going to go all the way around and do this. That'll grease this bearing. I don't need to get carried away with what's out here on the outside so much. Just as long as it's packed in there. And we'll put back on the axle and get the other side done, get this car back together. Got the bearing all greased up. Now I'm going to try to gently persuade it onto this axle. I'm going to use my handy dandy homemade tool, which is basically just a water pipe screwed onto a bigger coupling. This water pipe happens to be the exact same size as the inside of the bearing race, so I don't damage the bearing and all that stuff. And I'm going to get grease all over my nice gloves. I use them old junky gloves to put this together with. Let's see. I want to make sure I put it on the right way because that would be bad. Goes in like that. Big in there, little in there. Yeah, that's good enough to me. So we'll use our handy dandy tool. And you should use a press, but my press isn't going to, it's just not set up to do it this way. And you want to make sure it's going on there straight. And something like that. Yep. And there you go. After a few more taps of persuasion, it'll be done. I won't bore you with the whole process. Well, as you can see, I got the bearing all the way on there. So now this is ready to go back in. So we'll just, and I did get I got the inner seal knocked out of there. That was in there. I don't really see any point in having that in there because I want the rear axle oil to make its way down here. There'll be a seal out here. And like I said, that's the way all the modern cars are. I'm not sure what year they started doing that. Apparently 59 wasn't the year. There. So that goes in there like that. Then we take the bearing race and it goes in this way. And we'll get that started. And we'll use a little hammer to persuade it. So you can tell when it's in because the sound changed, and you also want to make sure you don't hit this bearing when you're doing that. Smash the bearing, which I managed not to hit. And then there's a couple of axle shims that go on here. Most axles back in the day like this have a shim, which actually brings this race out even with the axle. So I got to put that back on there. And then I'm ready to put the vacuum plate on and the brakes on this side. Get the lines back on it, button this baby back together so I can get it back on the road. Anyhow, that be that. So I got the brake shoes all back on, drums back on, got the brake lines back on and bled them out so you can see where they go. And there's the new rubber line that's on there and the new line going over to the other side. So I'll get the wheels back on it, button it up, and call this job done. So that's how you more or less rebuild the rear end of a 59 Chrysler. So I decided, since I had all four wheels off the car, I might as well go ahead and paint the centers like I wanted to. I'm going to paint them the same color as the top and that off-white stripe down the side. So bagged them and tagged them, just finishing up the last wheel now to cut out the center. I guess I'll show you me doing this, because it never works out right when you're on camera, but I'll show you how I trimmed the tape off this one, and then I'm ready to spray a little paint on them. Won't this be fun? You can't wait. This is the area I'll be painting, and so I just tape this off along here. And you say, well, now how'd you get that nice round circle like this? Well, I'll show you. Let's look at this one. And let me zoom in. There we go. Zoom in a little bit here like this. And we'll see how this goes. Might have to retape the whole thing, because this is like somebody watching you. I hate people watching me, like their face right in my face. You know what I mean? So you take a nice sharp razor blade. Well, which one of these I used last? And you just follow this edge. This is like back in kindergarten. Remember when you had to cut things out, follow the lines? Could it be that easy? Not really. Now I can't see where I'm going because my hand's in the way. So we'll start over here. And we'll go this way. This is about like watching grass grow, isn't it? Except there's no grass in here. Now my big fat head's probably in the way. Yeah, you'll get over that. There. Now if I did this right, I'll put this somewhere so I don't pick it up and cut myself. If I did this right, it should peel off there. Right where I cut it. I just put this tape on 5 minutes ago. Should come off a little easier than this. Oh, but it's not. Ta-da! Haha! The grass now needs cut. I shall go get the lawnmower. All right, well, that looked easy. That's because that is the easy part. All the prep work, the sanding, the taping, the getting everything ready is the hard part. Spraying is the easy part. Now the second hard part. I got to sit here and wait for 15, 20 minutes for that to tack up so I can put the second coat on. That really is my downfall, because I don't smoke cigarettes. It used to be smoke a cigarette, take a break, then go and hit second coat. So I got to sit here and watch the clock and figure out what to do for about 15 minutes. And it just drives me up the wall because, I want it done. So anyhow, that's what it looks like when we shoot them. And usually I wear a Tyvek suit, but it's got a big hole in it, so I had to use this. And we'll show you the finished product here once back on the car. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode of Tuck's Garage. Make sure you stick around and watch the channel because on a future episode, probably not the next one because I have to ease into these projects, but on a future episode, we'll be back on this car again. I'm going to change the generator over to an alternator. Won't that be fun? There might have to be some custom-made brackets, and I got to figure out the wiring so I can keep my idiot light that's in there. And yeah, we'll hook this thing up. I mean, the generator works on this car, but it's a generator. I'd rather have an alternator. A lot better with halogen lights. So that'll be a future project. Remember, drive them if you got them. Okay, since I was having so much fun tonight with tearing all this apart and, changing everything, including the rubber hose, I thought maybe I'd count the splines on the axle because all you hot rod guys that use 4 9-inch rear ends are always saying, I got a 31 spline axle. Well, I'm kind of curious to see how many splines is on this. So we're going to count the little splines here that's on this axle. So I marked it here. So I'm going to start with 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I can't see that. That's too little. I got to get my glasses. Okay, let's try this again. Oh, that's a lot better. Now I need a little tool. Let's see. This is gonna be fun down here. Oh boy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Should I start again? 10. Oh. Did you see that? It slipped. Let's try this again. I'm gonna go the other way. Let's see. We'll start next to this mark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9.5. Is that 10? Boy, these are hard to see. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. Well, what do you know? I got a 31 spline Chrysler axle. Wonder if I should count that again. See if I get the same result. I'll do that off camera. That was so much fun. I enjoyed it so well.